How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Forever Arsenal podcast. Bright and early, 8 in the morning, and I'm here, people. I'm here 10 minutes before time. I've made it. No point deduction this week. Third show in a row. So we've got a couple more before people start paying up on this panel for last season. But the less said on that, the better for now, because we've got Arsenal to talk about. Look at that cheeky smile, James. I know you're ill.
That's a hat-trick, Turkish. Well done.
Hat-trick. Don't worry, I'm going for 5. Haaland, Champions League, RB Leipzig. That's what I'm going for. 2 more to
You're
go.
on a better run than Eddie and Ketia. Well done, mate.
Give me the 14. But yeah, we are here. We're through in the Carabao Cup. 1-0 away win against Brentford. And Lee's there smiling. He's the only one that predicted an Arsenal win. So later on, when we see the table, we'll see a little update to that table. But I want to start with James today because unusually, I haven't heard James's opinion of the game. He's been ill, so I'll send James some love. He missed the watch along yesterday and full-time reaction, but he managed to make it this morning for Forever Arsenal. So James, last night, heavily rotated sides, but in my opinion, a very respectable performance and away win against a good Premier League side.
Yeah, that's how I saw it. And I was slightly out of it watching it. But it looked to me like the first half, I thought Arsenal looked actually really good. Good in possession, moved the ball around really well, created quite a few chances. Obviously, Nelson goal, fair play. That comes from an error, I believe, that we forced him into. Forgive me if I'm forgetting some of this wrong. If I'm remembering some of this wrong, sorry. Smith Rowe had a good chance. There was an opening for Havertz. Sort of a bit like the Tottenham game in that we actually probably could have been maybe 2-3 up in that first 30 minutes, that being at our scintillating best, or we're playing some good football. We still seem to make errors in possession. Like yesterday, we still seem to give the ball away in really dangerous areas a few times. I'm slightly more forgiving of that because there's kind of different personnel on the pitch, players that haven't played as many minutes. But that is still a slight concern. But otherwise, even though he gave the ball away a couple of times, it was good to see Jorginho have a good game. Just in possession, just played some really lovely passes around defenders and sort of just kind of kept Arsenal ticking. Smith Rowe looked sharp, which was good to see. Reece Nelson worked hard. A debut for Sago Jr. Good for him. He had showed some nice touches, although we didn't seem to get the ball to him that much. But
Yeah.
hey ho. Eddie did okay. I thought the impressive players for me, Tomiyasu, great to see that he's kind of, I don't know, just looking like a really dependable option. Ramsdale's distribution was the best we've seen since the 21-22 season. I thought just showed real class in his passing, a real kind of range of passing as well. Kivior looked good. And I just think where I take a lot, depends how much stock people put in the Carabao Cup and all that, but Brentford went full strength and we went there and actually looked very comfortable with a pretty heavily rotated side and very few options on the bench. Credit to Arteta as well, who, treated the subs with respect and brought Odegaard, Zinchenko. I can't remember who else came on, but
Cedric.
Who's that, sorry?
Cedric come on.
And El Neni.
El Neni, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, went to a double pivot of El Neni and Jorginho with Odegaard in the 10 for a little while, which people told me he couldn't do in the North London derby, but hey ho, the less said the better. So I just think that was a really professional performance. We are defensively very sound, guys. I saw some stats, even though the North London derby went badly, there were some interesting things being said about the way Arsenal, we're conceding stupid goals, but we're not allowing teams many opportunities. And I do think we've got a good structure. I do think the team is kind of well coached and is actually able to defend their goal quite well. We cut out errors, and I actually think we'll be good this season. We'll be fine. I'm happy we're through. I wanted us to go through. I want us to take every cup and every competition seriously this year. And winning away at Brentford is something to be praised, kind of in the league or in the cup, especially if they go full strength. So good win. And we've got West Ham next, which we'll discuss later. But I'm happy with the team. Thought they looked good.
It's James, but a question back to you before we move on to Jordan and Lee. But having been at the game and seeing an Arsenal side rotated yet again in another competition. You know, look at last season Europa League, even FA Cup at times, with the Southampton lost, City last year rotated side. Was this the best performance of a rotated side under Mikel Arteta?
Yeah, comfortably.
Yeah,
I think that's such a great question because you're right. It's tended to be Arteta's first 11 for the last even kind of year and a half, maybe 2 years, have done the business. There's an identity, you can see it. And then he's rotated, maybe 4 or 5 players in the Europa League even, and it seems to fall away. There were a lot of changes yesterday. And I agree, especially that first half. I thought we looked incredibly fluid. Some of the most fluid football we've actually played this season.
yeah,
So, yeah, I think you're right. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's because there's just a quality that's coming in now. Smith Rowe, for example, maybe Jorginho, where it's been other players in the past. But yeah, I agree. They definitely look far more cohesive in understanding what the plan was.
yeah, 100%. Jordan, you caught the game, yeah?
I did. Bloody hell.
He'll
You,
never
you
live.
just, you're just setting up the comments to just
I don't
kill
know
me
if it
now.
was aired or not in the. I don't know if it was aired on the.
I found a way legally of watching. Yes,
Channel 4
get me in
perks.
trouble.
I understand.
No comment.
But go on, talk to me. I mean,
Yeah, I think James used the correct word. I think professional was the way that I would sum up the game. It was a professional performance where we're in control. I love games where we're in control. I think it's control of a game where you dictate what happens is really important. I thought the first half, the first 60 minutes, we were in control, and I liked that. I said on the last pod that I wanted to go strong. Arteta did go relatively strong, in my opinion. I would have gone even stronger. And seeing the team that Brentford started with, I'm glad that he went strong because they didn't rotate at all. they went for it, and I kind of had a feeling that they might go for it as well. So the strength of the team was good. It was good to see Sago get some minutes. I'd have liked to have seen him a bit more involved, but he didn't look like he was overruled at all at any point. It was good to see Smith Rowe get more minutes on the pitch as well. Hearing the comments from the manager talking about him having a role to play. I mean, he said that before, and they're not playing him for like 6 months. So I take those comments with a slight pinch of salt, but encouraging nevertheless. Eddie Nketiah, like the last 3 or 4 games, working hard, really working hard, but not really much end product. I really wanted him to get a goal, as with Havertz. Havertz was okay. Thought he was okay. I'm struggling game by game to defend Kai Havertz, if I'm being really honest. But overall, no dirty sheets. That was a win for me. A good finish from Nelson. That's a nice, neat finish from Nelson. I'm glad that he got a goal. And I just can't work out if Nelson's in that kind of category of he's not quite good enough to be in an Arsenal first 11, but he's too good to be in Arsenal's second team. But, he's just got to work harder. He's got to work harder to get into the first team. I don't think he's good enough to be in an Arsenal starting 11. I think he's just off that level, but I think he's the first one knocking on the door. So anyway, it's good to see him get a goal and a decent performance. And through to the next round, I want to win this cup. I want to win this cup, man. I really want to win this cup. So good to see that we're through. As James mentioned, we got West Ham in the next round. Not an easy game, but bring it on. And we'll get to Ramsdale, I'm sure, in a minute after Lee gives his analysis. But yeah, it wasn't an amazing game, but it was a controlled, professional game that we kind of handled relatively well.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get onto Ramsdale soon. Heading over to Lee. Lee, thoughts on the game yesterday overall before we delve into thoughts on the game overall, and then pick out the player that you want to discuss first or think worth discussing first.
Yeah, I think it's a strange one yesterday because even going there, I'm going to be really honest, I wasn't really up for it. I thought I was really thinking, this is a bit of a chore going here on a Wednesday night. And I felt like a few of the fans were like that as well, but got encouraged as the game went on by the performance and the way we played and the attitude of the players. And I have to say, I thought first half, I was very, very impressed. And really, I've never seen an away ground so quiet. Yeah. I really do think the performance really quietened the crowd down because in the second half, they come at us a little bit, and the crowd got up for a little bit more. But I thought we silenced the crowd really, really well. I thought there were some decent performances, and I was really pleased with the way that the team played, considering the changes. Yeah, a lot of rotation, but all players now that played yesterday, I wouldn't have a problem if they was in the first team. If you look at it, like, you know, Jorginho, I thought was brilliant in the first half, really controlling the game. But if he was playing as he come in on Sunday, it's not like, oh, it's Jorginho playing. I look at the back, I thought Kivio was solid at the back there. He's really becoming a very, very good defender. And credit to the likes of him, more so him and Smith Rowe, because they've really got no minutes behind them. Not at all, hardly at all today. And so putting performances like that was really, really encouraging. You know, I mean, my man of the match for the game, I don't know how you guys feel, was Nelson. I felt that he really pushed. That what his performance for me was like, you know, do you know what? I should have been playing on Sunday, and this is why. And I really like that. I really like that attitude of it all. And you know, I have to say, I like the performance all round. With the way we had to dig in the second half, I thought was showing a little bit there. We had to defend. Wasn't too happy with Ben White's performance yesterday. I thought it was a little bit sloppy because maybe, like, you know, it was rotated, and I don't know, maybe knows that he's coming off at a certain stage. I don't know. I just didn't think he was quite at the level that he normally is at. But I'm going to give it, as you know, as much as I criticise Mikel at times, and I have to give him, you know, 10 out of 10 yesterday for the way that he picked the team and got players like Rice and Saka not even getting in minutes. So, like, you know, rested a few players, and the way that he managed it afterwards, the way he brought on the substitutions. We was losing the game a little bit. I don't say losing it, but we was losing the grip of the game. He brought on players, the big guns, to just take it back in our favour. I think if he didn't make those substitutions, we would have lost that game or drawn it. Like, you know, I think that his substitutions got us over the line because the likes of Smith Rowe and that tired towards the end, like, you know, and the kid that played on right hand side. You know what I mean? I have to say that I've never heard of him before. Never heard of him, not even coming through. But give a good account of himself. Worked hard. Wasn't shy when he did get the ball. I felt he didn't get the ball as much as he should have, because I don't think Ben White was on his game. That's all I'm saying on that. I don't think it's his door, if I'll be honest. But Tomiyasu, I thought was right up there as well with man of the match. Do you know what? He played centre half, and he looks like he's played there all season. He went over to right back. You know, I think there's a few of these players in this team who've got to get a little bit more credit for the way that they can play in different positions. You know, there's a few on there, like, you know, Kivio played left back yesterday. I thought he was a centre half, but you wouldn't have thought that. You know, played really, really well. So all in all, I think you summed up on your fan cam. You know what I mean? I don't really normally agree with you. Perfect night, and I thought it was a perfect night, like, you know. And I didn't see you, so it was even more perfect, like, you know.
No, I love you too, Lee. I love you too. Just so the people know, Lee was actually late today, and I haven't docked him a point, so I might as well get that in now whilst he's sending shots to me. But
I was not late.
Well, 8 minutes
on the dot. I made sure that I pressed that button.
8 p.m. and 30 seconds is late, my friend. But you know,
well, when I take on ball from your lateness, then I know that something's going wrong. Like, you know what I mean? So
walking around taking videos of other Arsenal fans slandering my name.
I was just going to say that. Well up to those boys. I was walking out, like, you know, and they were going like, Turkish is a disgrace. He's an absolute disgrace. And I thought,
is that what they said?
Yeah, like, I mean, you know, on the Fourever Arsenal, like, you know, he should have all these points, Doctor. So get down here, lads. Get down here. Let's have a video, like, you know what I mean? And they never let me down, the lads, you know what I mean? So well done to them. Big up to them, like, you know.
You said Nelson man of the match for you, and I think he was definitely a candidate. Not my man of the match. I'll ask about man of the matches in a second in terms of going all around. But I do want to. I want to stay on Nelson first, because I feel like Lee. I feel like that performance was one that said you should have started me.
Yeah, I felt that.
He wanted the ball. He was dropping. He was coming inside. You see him in midfield at times. He was on the left. He was on the right. All in all, our best attacking player. And I think Jordan mentioned that finish was beautiful. I mean, it looked like the defender was going to cut out Eddie's cutback. He manages to take it under and then finish it bottom corner. I like Nelson. I mean, if I see Nelson start games in the Premier League, I wouldn't think, oh, that's a bit shaky, especially when I look at Saka's performances recently and towards the end of last season too. He's been good, but he hasn't been great yet. And I think Nelson, does deserve more opportunities, especially when you look at last season and a couple of the games he come on in, Forest and Bournemouth in particular. He essentially helped win us the game and was a big part of that. And he's come and put a performance at a tough away ground on a Wednesday night against Brentford. So I expect to see him a bit more moving forward. Against Bournemouth, Saka, he seems to be unavailable. I'd be starting Reece Nelson on that right-hand side.
Yeah, the thing is, he's an out-and-out left winger, and I know that it feels like he's got the attributes to be able to do it from the right as well. We just haven't seen him be as effective from that side. I know he came on for Saka against Nottingham Forest last year, scored 2 goals when we beat them 5-0. But, we're yet to see if he can have that same impact out on the right. I hope he can. Because that's a slight fault in your squad building, Mikel, if, you end up with Martinelli, Trossard, Nelson, who all prefer the left and all can't really do it on the right. That feels slightly imbalanced. He tried Trossard out on the right, I think, last year at home to Palace or someone. Maybe it wasn't Palace. But do you remember when he gave Saka a rest to bring him on in the end?
Yeah, it didn't work.
Was it Leeds?
Yeah, I think it was.
One or something.
Yeah, and that didn't really work. He's done it with Martinelli. Martinelli, weirdly, he's probably done it the best of the lot out of the right. Scored against Newcastle once and did okay, but still didn't feel too natural. So hopefully Nelson can prove he can do it out on the right wing. I think to do it, you've almost got to have that ability to, like dig a cross out from the byline, that kind of, you're running at a fullback and you're sort of able to whip balls into the box. Whereas when you're running from the left wing, you're kind of keeping the fullback guessing, because are you cutting inside to get a shot? Are you dragging it onto your left foot to get into the box? And he's sort of shown ability to do that well, Nelson. I thought it was a fair shout for man of the match. I don't think he quite gets it for me, but I thought his work rate was outstanding, especially because Brentford play with wing backs. So the likes of Hickey and I can't remember who else they had yesterday, they can really get up the pitch well. And he just had to get back and help Kivior on a few occasions. There are a few moments where there were a few 50-50s, and he just raw pace managed to get there first, get his body in the way, win a foul, managed to sort of like wrap a leg around and win the ball back quite easily a few times. So his work rate was phenomenal, and I think that's what Arteta will love more than anything, that he was helping his fullback a lot. Kivior had a good game, but you still got to give him a hand. So yeah, I thought Nelson was great, and he's a very cool customer, isn't he? Like that finish is, he doesn't seem phased by any part of the game. The hard work, the in front of goal, needing a goal in the dying minutes of a game, he kind of keeps composure. So whatever the situation, playing with the first team, rotate 11, dying minutes of a crucial Premier League game, Carabao Cup, whatever it is, he maintains composure. I think that's a great trait he's got.
Jordan, thoughts on Nelson?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I've always loved Nelson. I've said before that Nelson was the one about 6 years ago of the crop of youngsters we had at the time that I was most excited about. I was so disappointed. We sent him out on loan somewhere. I forgot where he went. It was abroad, and he didn't do that well. And he came back, and he just never really picked up the momentum that I think he was building when we had him at the club at the first time round. So I've always been a fan of Reece Nelson, and I think we're starting to see him crafting the kind of player that he wants to become. Like I said, I'm with you. I wouldn't be necessarily like upset if he was in our first 11, but I just don't, on an elongated basis. Yeah, I don't think he's good enough to be in our 11 for 5, 6, 7 games. I don't think he's of that level, especially where we are now, trying to win a Premier League title. If he's playing 5, 6 games in a row, you're not going to win a title. 1 or 2 games to come in to cover, no problem. Off the bench, he's been brilliant. So I'm a fan. I really want him to do well, but because he was before Saka. Let's not forget that he was before Saka. But Saka's obviously a bit of a freak, so he's just gone clear. But Nelson was the one that was supposed to be our star boy back then, and it didn't quite work out. But I'm glad that we've kept him. Glad we've signed him down. I hope that he can contribute throughout the season.
Was he your man of the match or?
No, I think he was just picked by Tomiyasu, but I'm biased. Biased. I like Tomiyasu. I'm biased. So, but Nelson was brilliant. Nelson was brilliant.
Tomiyasu for me as well. I agree. I agree with that. Interesting that he went with Tomiyasu as centre back. You know, I thought because I'm gonna just have a little moment to applaud myself. We did the Predict 11 show, and I got 9 of the 11 right. And I thank you, Jordan. Did you watch it?
I did actually, yeah.
Jordan didn't watch shit.
I did watch it. I actually did. I did. The one with Laurie.
He's a big fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the one.
So how you got time to watch fucking previews and the only time you can do Fourever is 8 a.m? What's going on here?
You know, I can watch stuff on the train. I've got time.
Sorry, James.
No, I managed to get the whole back four and midfield right. Nelson in there with Ramsdale, but obviously I predicted White at centre back, Tomiyasu at right back. But I'm actually really glad he went with it the way he did, because if White's your right back, then you want to know someone can come in and slot in at centre back quite naturally without having to change things around. So if something is wrong with Saliba, and God forbid, I mean, we hope he's obviously always available, you know, Tomiyasu actually feels like a more like-for-like fit in terms of his frame and like his, I don't know, how I kind of envisage him playing the position quite aggressively. White's, you know, a bit more. He's proving to be a bit more of a bombing up and down right back, which we didn't know he had in his locker till last season. So, yeah, it was interesting seeing Tomiyasu right back. He did it well. Some of his passing right and left foot was unbelievable. A couple of switches with the left foot I thought looked brilliant. And yeah, I thought he excelled.
Yeah, my man of the match too. I think he had a great game, and yeah, he's centre back. You did see him on the right a few times because of the whole fluidity thing, but I was actually glad to see him in that position too, because much is said about him in that position being the best fit for him, and I think it's that he's got a certain level of aggressiveness, especially in the air. The ball's in and around the box. There was a big block he made in the first half where I think it was 0-0 or maybe 1-0 to us, where it looked like it was going to hit the back of the net, or Ramsdale would have been forced into a save, but he puts his body in the way, and it's not the only time he did that in the match. So for me, Tomiyasu was man of the match. Just pips Nelson and just pips Ramsdale for me, because again in that second half, Ramsdale essentially kept us, 1-0 up. He made one great fingertip save that then hit the post and comes back out, and he made a couple other saves. And overall, his distribution was, I think you mentioned it earlier, James, his distribution just seemed to have an extra level of risk, but an extra level of confidence too. He was breaking the lines without going over the top, and he was finding people on the halfway line through 2-3 Brentford players. So at first sight, it looks like that Raya competition could, be pushing him on to take those extra risks or be a bit more confident on the ball. There was that one moment in the first half where he did get caught on it. There was that one moment. I'm sure Mikel will remember that more so than the save, because he's made a decision to add competition this year, even though Ramsdale overall had a great season last season. But Lee, Ramsdale, great showing on his return.
Yeah, great showing. I managed to start up the Aaron Ramsdale song first of all, and everybody in the crowd went with it, and I was well happy about that. I think that, a lot of credit to him for that performance. A lot of credit also to the back four, because obviously it was a makeshift back four, and they backed him up very, very well. I thought, by the way, Gabriel was outstanding again yesterday. Really, really pleased. But yeah, well pleased with performance. I felt first half didn't have a lot to do. Got caught out for one. But if you had a look at it, weren't really that many options on at that stage, But some really good passing in there. And then second half, when it was put on us a little bit, that's when you need your goalkeeper to make the saves, do the business. I didn't even know that he'd saved that one that hit the post. I just thought they hit the post. That's why I didn't mention it yesterday. My apologies for that. It weren't until I got home and watched the highlights that it was a great save. It's a goal if he doesn't save that. Yeah. The other save was routine. But I just want to give him a big up, not just for that performance. There was pressure on him last night, to perform. and show his mental resilience. And I felt that was more impressive than anything. Like, you know, he didn't shy away from anything that he had to do. You know, when you're under a little bit of pressure, sometimes you can go in your shell a little bit. He didn't. It was a great moment when the Arsenal fans were singing England's number one. I don't know if you noticed it, and he put a thumbs up like that. So I think the appreciation from the fans was there, and I like that. And I just think that, you know, solid performance and a reminder to Mikel that he you know has got a future at Arsenal. It'd be really interesting now what he does on Saturday, yeah, because I think Ray has done okay in his first couple of games. He's done nothing wrong, and then against Spurs, I think there's things in you could criticise if you want to, but it weren't spectacular against Tottenham by no stretch of the imagination. But Aaron Ramsdale's come in with a performance. Whether he's going to get back in the side, but he'd have got on the coach yesterday. Very, very pleased with his performance. And, you know, somebody said yesterday, you know what I mean, you know, that Mikel's stubborn in certain areas, and let's see what he does now. It'd be very, very interesting, because if you look at the last two performances, he's been a better goalkeeper. It's probably been Ramsdale, but, you know, like a North London derby, there's a pressure game on that. But all in all, I'm very, very pleased with his performance.
I'm really keen to see how Ramsdale continues to react, you know, because it seems to be clear to me now that he's number two, and how he reacts to that over the next few weeks and next few months is going to be interesting, because he's being a professional right now. He's being a teammate, he's being a team player, and he's being professional by not sulking, not making up noise. He's just getting on with it. He's come in, got a clean sheet, and doing his job. That I've listened to a lot of goalkeepers talk about that, and they've said that, you know, that's quite easy to do for the first 2 or 3 months. You can support your fellow goalkeeper. You can, you know, yeah, come on, da, 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 da. But when it starts getting 3, 4, 5 months in, that you're tested now, because now you're like, hang on a minute, I want to play now, and then we're going to really find out. If, you know, how much of a professional he is, and if he can maintain this level of professionalism. I'm going to say it right now, guys. That save from Ramsdale yesterday was better than Rare's save on the weekend. It was better for me. The Rare save on the weekend I thought was a bit overrated. It's at a nice height. It wasn't hit with any real power. It's a good save. I'm serious. It's a good save.
Oh, great.
But it's a good save. But if you look at it from the angle from behind the goal, it's not hit with any real power. In fact, who shot it? Was it Johnson that shot that?
He missed it.
He mishits it. He hits it onto his own foot. So it's not a clean strike. It's a good save. It looks great for the cameras, but it's not actually as good as everyone. Oh, it's a world-class save. It's not a world-class save. Do you know what was a world-class save? Aaron Ramsdale, free kick away at Leicester last season. That is a world-class save. Do you know what is a world-class save? Aaron Ramsdale at Anfield last season. Do you know what's a world-class save? Aaron Ramsdale, Rashford at the Emirates last season in the second half. That for me is a world-class save. So for me, I like David Raya. I don't really have an issue with either one playing, but this idea that Raya is significantly ahead, for me, I'm not buying it. They're on par.
You know, Ramsdale's distribution yesterday. This is I sometimes watch a game, and I have to almost forget that, like, it's not FIFA. Arteta can't control everything they do all the time. So when I see Ramsdale going long in games, my default reaction is Arteta's told him to do that. Oh, in this moment, Arteta's told him to hit the channels. Arteta's told him to look for Jesus. Arteta's told him to, I don't know, not break the lines or whatever. And then yesterday we see him breaking the lines with ease. He was brilliant at it. And I was thinking, why did your distribution look infinitely better against Brentford? They probably did in the 6, 7, 8 months before, certainly this calendar year. And then I think, you know, Arteta isn't controlling everything they do on a pitch. Maybe he can only tell them so many times. Maybe so much of it is down to player judgment. You know, pass out the back if you can, go long if you can. And that might be a part of why I brought in David Raya, because we did see a dip in Ramsdale's distribution as well. But I wanted to ask you guys, like, do you think this was just Ramsdale just getting back to better levels on the ball? Do you think this was just Ramsdale with better concentration, whatever, or to play those passes through the lines? Is it about the team structure? Is it about the players offering options? Is it about our managers' instructions? Like, I don't understand how, a couple games out the team, and suddenly he's looking like Edison on the ball, and we hadn't seen that for so long. Like, I don't get it. And then I can't think that everything else before was Arteta telling him to go long, because that's what we were saying before. I was not playing out the back before as much because teams are onto it, so he's going longer now. I'm not understanding like what has caused the change in one.
It works for most roles, not just football, but getting comfortable in the role you're in is a reality. And then sometimes you need that reality check where someone like Araya comes in, or someone that, if you're a project manager, another project manager comes in. If you're a presenter, another presenter comes in, and you look over and you think, all right, I've got to buck up my ideas now. And I think it's a bit of that. I think some people crumble under competition, but I think Ramsdale's the type of character to thrive and look at it and say, hold on, why did he bring him in? Hold on, why have I dropped off in the last 6 months? That all or nothing documentary, we win a game, he concedes a goal, he's upset. So I'm sure he knows more than anyone that the last 6 months he hasn't, maintained the standard that he set originally. So I think it's just down to that competition, James. I don't know what Lee and
sorry, Lee, before you come in, I think it's an interesting theory, but I think you could do that by leaking to the press that you're linked with a goalkeeper. I think Arsenal could easily leak to the press, we're linked with buying so-and-so goalkeeper, and that might serve as a bit of a kick up the backside to Aaron Ramsdale that, oh wow, the club are actually looking at another goalkeeper. I don't know if you buy another goalkeeper to do that. I think Aaron Ramsdale will be number 2 next season, and I don't think it's right, I don't think it's fair, but I don't think you bring in David Raya, who's of a good age, who's a top keeper, looking to kind of continue his trajectory, unless you see him as your number 1. And I think there's a consequence if Ramsdale gets kicked up the backside and improves his kicking and his performances, then great. But I'd be stunned if this time next season David Raya isn't the established number 1.
I will lean on the actual deal we made, and I know people will say the option is pretty much a formality, maybe number of games Raya plays, or the fact that we wanted to, spend that chunk of money next season on next season's books. But the option could have been an obligation if that was the case. Why was it just an option? It's up to Ramsdale to. We all watch football, so if Ramsdale steps up and takes his next chance that he's gonna get, whether it's in Carabao, Champions League, Premier League, if he steps up and takes it, then how do you take that number 1 spot off him come the end of the season? I actually think you're right. Interest in a keeper can be motivation, but loaning in a quality keeper is probably that extra bit where it's like, shit, if I don't buck up my ideas this season, then they'll sign him quite a good fee, and I'm back up. So I think that plays a part. Lee.
Look, how I see it is, I don't mind the goalkeeping situation really. I actually speaking to a few Brentford fans yesterday and asking them, what's the performances of Ray, and all of them turned around and said, he's really, really good goalkeeper, but I wouldn't say he's head and shoulders above Ramsdale, and that's Brentford fans saying that. And they said, I think Ramsdale's a really good goalkeeper. And the other thing is, and I say this now, it's okay doing this. We'll do it in other areas as well. If you're going to do it to Ramsdale, I want you doing this to Eddie. I want you doing this to whoever, like in the midfield or whatever, I don't see that in other areas. I do see it with certain players. I do see there's you could argue that Martinelli's come under a lot of pressure from Trossard on that left-hand side, and rightly so. But I don't see it in other areas.
But what areas, Lee? Sorry to cut you there. What areas are? Because
I think that I haven't seen them go and get another centre forward that's going to score goals and push Eddie. I see yesterday Kai Havertz, and I think and that's early days for him. You were all saying, Ramsdale's got to show a performance that's going to maybe give him into. Well, when's he going to show a performance that says, do you know what I mean? You're definitely the man to step into the midfield. Now, by the way,
but he has been dropped
badly yesterday. But he's just doing okay. It's not enough to be just okay, because you're saying.
But he has been dropped, Lee. He has been dropped.
Yeah, or rotated or whatever, like. But what I'm saying is, it's like I look at it and go, okay, if you're doing what you're doing to Ramsdale, then it's not okay. There's no okay performances from anybody now. You know what I mean? Like I see Jorginho yesterday doing well, and I like that. Like he's not going to get into the next game if Rice is there. Like but he comes into the team as a backup, and I don't think anybody would argue with that. But it seems to me like there's backup players. Kivior, for instance, is not going to, whether how well he plays in a game, he's not going to force anybody out. Even Nelson, probably, I put a lot of money on it now that the front three will be as it was on Saturday.
No, but it should be, Lee. It should. Sorry,
no. I don't think it should be. How many more? I thought Eddie played really, really well yesterday. Worked hard and all that. But if you can't find an improvement for Eddie, and be ruthless like you have been with the goalkeeper, then I don't see it being fair. That's my opinion. And I'm not having a go at Eddie when I say this.
I know you're not, Lee. I know you're not. But I'm just saying that if I'm understanding your point is that he's treating Ramsdale with one standard, but he's not treating the others to the same standard. But what I see is, at some point, all those players you've mentioned have been dropped. There's no one that's been played throughout, despite being crap.
I disagree, Jordan, that they've been dropped, because if you're dropped, you don't come back in. And I don't see Eddie being left out for 3 games at this moment in time. I haven't seen Kai Havertz being left out for 2 or 3 games. Like, you know what I mean? They've been straight back in. Like, has Kai Havertz been on the bench for 3 games in the last 3? I don't think so. And he comes on at half time in the North London derby. I'm not having a go at Kai Havertz when I'm saying this, but I see a standard there of, we'll let mediocrity stand for you, but we're not going. What happens if Aaron Ramsdale yesterday had an okay game? We'd be going, we've got to bring back Raya now, But it's because he's played so well now. There's a problem, and I just don't like that. I don't think it's right. I like Tommy Asu now. He plays after that performance. He won't know. You know what I mean? Like Saliba comes straight back in, and rightly so,
because he's better.
Yeah, but you tell him that I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not convinced that Raya is such a big upgrade on. You're talking greater when you're saying that Saliba is a massive upgrade on Tommy Asu, which is like Tommy Asu, by the way, is a bloody good player. But I don't see that. I don't see Raya and go, wow, that is so much of an upgrade. You know what I mean? I see it as a Trossard Martinelli sort of situation. I don't see that that it's that much of an upgrade to put a player through. And I'm not sticking up for Ramsdale when I'm saying it. I just see how I see it. Is that I don't think he's ever let Arsenal down, and to be treated like he's being treated, I think it's slightly unfair when I see other players getting more passes. And I say, Eddie's missed big chances for us, big chances, and he's back in the next game. And I just, there's not much of an upgrade on that situation. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if I'm being a little bit biased or what. I don't know, but I don't see it. Listen, I'm not going to Brighton fans. What do you think of Trossard? Do you think he's a good player or whatever? I look at Trossard and I know that he's a good player. So I'm asking Brentford players, well, what is Raya that good? And they're going, oh yeah, he's good player, but there's not, they actually said it's not a massive jump from him and Ramsdale. They're surprised by the move.
The problem is the goalkeeper, the position of goalkeeper is
different.
Yeah, it's just so set in stone. Like, if you're picked, you're picked. You're not coming off unless Arteta wants to reinvent goalkeeping.
Yeah, it's not
as he's mentioned. The second goalkeeper is going to get significantly less minutes with outfield positions. Kai Havertz, you say, has he really been kind of dropped or whatever? Well, he hasn't started 2 Premier League games in a row. So that would suggest he's been dropped, but actually started a Carabao Cup game, started the Champions League game, came on at half-time against Tottenham. so it doesn't feel that way. You know, outfield positions, you can play around with it a little bit more to make it feel like a player hasn't necessarily been dropped as much as their minutes have been managed.
Totally agree.
With that. And you just can't do that with a goalkeeper. It's very set in stone. It's Rare started 3 in a row. And, you know, it kind of made sense, really. He wanted him for the North London derby, so he gave him 2 big games before that. That's not really, there's nothing really wrong with that. But it just comes across as extremely harsh on Ramsdale because he just gets no minutes elsewhere. But, you know, I think this goalkeeper discourse is probably going to go on for a while still. And the reality is the club are probably past it as well. They're probably like, you know, we've got 2 goalkeepers and they're going to battle it out, and that's it.
Do you know one thing that really has got me go is that you know, he has been very, very professional, as you said. I think he's been very, very professional with England. There's been at times when he's, you know, gone to England and had no minutes, and you know, you could be sitting on the beach in Dubai and resting up, and he's done all of that, like, you know. And for a fellow professional like Jamie Carragher to call him out like what he done is disgraceful. But we're allowing that to happen with this goalkeeping situation. Just see what I'm saying, like, you know, where people are commenting on it, and we're even commenting on after a 1-0 win yesterday. You know, who should play and all that, like, but. You know, comments like that, you know, if he sits there with the ump, people are going to comment on it. If he does what he's done, people are, you know. So I just feel it's just unfair all round. I just feel, and I don't think it was deserved. You know what I mean? Like, that's my thing about it. Like, you know, when Eddie's on the bench or someone else and someone scores a good goal and Trossard jumps up or Martinez jumps up, there ain't that comment about, oh, look, that's false and all that. Like, you know what I mean? But I just felt that was just totally unnecessary and just, you know, just summed up Jamie Carragher for me, like, you know what I mean? I just think that people just want to jump on the bandwagon about it a little bit. And
I didn't think it was I didn't think it was an appropriate comment, but I do also think it was a little bit more tongue in cheek than, that doesn't mean I thought it was okay. Like, no. but I also think there is something, I know we've had this conversation before, and I could be opening a can of worms that would get us to another hour on this podcast, but obviously we won't quite explore this that much. But there is just something about when something happens at Arsenal, it is just like, you know, blown up, you know, 1,000 times, and the media have a field day with it. Brighton are doing the exact same thing Arsenal did. Jason Steele ended last season brilliantly when they had Robert Sanchez. So already they made a change of goalkeeper there. Then they signed Verbrugen in the summer. And as of 5 Premier League games in, one goalkeeper had 3 games, the other had 2, with the other on the bench. So Roberto De Zerbi, the great De Zerbi, who is reinventing football at Brighton, who Carragher did a 10-minute piece on Monday Night Football, who are playing some of the best football in the league, and I love what Brighton are doing the exact same thing with their goalkeepers, alternating, rotating, mixing it up. And I don't know what Verbrugen offers that Steele doesn't. I'm no expert on their goalkeepers, but I just have respect for how well Brighton are playing, for how great they've done, that I don't really care. Do what you want with your goalkeepers. And I don't really know why the same attitude isn't there for Arsenal. Well done, guys. 5 wins and 7 in all comps in the start of the season, 2 draws as well, undefeated in a title race. Job done in the first round of the Carabao Cup. You know, 1 with ease in your first round of the Champions League.
It's because we're a big club.
We're a big club. Like,
that's
but
why
we're not failing right now. Like,
no.
You know, Man United aren't rotating their goalkeeper. Maybe they should.
I noticed that yesterday, James. That's a very good point.
A big club, and he's English. That's a key. That's a key aspect.
Yes, it is. You're right. It is.
Yeah.
But when it was, what other examples do I have in the past of similar? Kepa or Mendy. I mean, there was media circulation and headlines about that, but neither were English, so it kind of went quiet pretty quick. With this one,
£70 million Kepa, by the way, 70 million. But no, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
because they're not, and also Chelsea aren't in my mind a big club. This is the reason why, just a slight parallel point, but not. The scrutiny that Chelsea are getting in comparison to United, both teams had a shocker of a season, in my opinion. United are getting significantly more scrutiny, in my opinion, than Chelsea are. And that's Chelsea should be getting more scrutiny. But why? Because United are a big club. When you're a big club, you get more scrutiny by default. And you just get more.
I remember Pep's early decision with Joe Hart. That that had a lot of noise around it when he first comes in and then makes that big decision. That had a lot of noise. That was kind of similar noise to the Ramsdale now, but he made a decision and cut ties pretty swiftly, whereas we're into the season now, hence why it's going to be a running theme throughout.
And you know what I find so funny about Turkish, yeah? Let's not use Arteta and Arsenal as an example, but and let me also say that everyone has every right to critique anyone in the game. You know, it's football. You're allowed to have an opinion. I'm not trying to say that people shouldn't, but with that Joe Hart thing, yeah, Pep Guardiola, the great Pep, who'd won trebles with Barcelona, who, in my opinion, gave us the greatest club side in European football history, who did a phenomenal job at Bayern Munich, albeit didn't win the Champions League, you know, came in and made a decision on Joe Hart. And like, you know, if there was like one manager not to question, it was Pep Guardiola, and yet everyone did. It's like,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like, we don't ever stop to just think,
because he didn't replace him with that much better, James. The first time he didn't replace him with Edison, did he?
I know.
Bravo weren't much better, and he got rid of him. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, rid of him, got Edison, but and that's where the critique might have been fair. But my point is, like, there's this impatience amongst football fans, football media, whatever. You know, like, if we don't understand a decision, basically, if we don't get the answer within 2-3 games, then, you know. And by the way, it might not work. Here we are trying to understand Kai Havertz. He might end up being a Claudio Bravo, a very expensive Claudio Bravo, but he might be. Where Arteta goes, do you know what? I've had enough after a year. But
I still see a player in him now, James. I watched him yesterday. When he went up front, he done really well with some certain things that he done. He created a very, very good chance for Nelson yesterday. Like, you know what I mean, when he burst through the lines and
burst through is a bit of a exaggeration.
Well, by his standards, he did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he looked like he had a bit of fun. I just think, I look at him at times, he's just got to, like, just speed up a little bit, like, do you know what I mean? Like, because there were some good things he done yesterday. Like, I'm telling you, some bad things he done. There was one part, what summed him up yesterday was the ball. I think it was Ramsdale put a ball up in the air. He brought it down to Nelson. It was fantastic, right? And Julian turned around to me and said, "Oh, that was an unbelievable touch." And then the next time he got the ball, we give it away. And you think, "Oh, just do two things right on the spin." It's just frustrating.
What summed him up for me was, there was a moment in the first half. He had the ball, and he sprinted into space. And I was watching it here, like I said, feeling ill, and I was sort of remotely kind of feeling better for a second. And I was like, "Oh my God, Havertz just sprinted. Wow." And then he slowed down. And then the minute he slowed down, he lost the ball.
Yeah.
That's like, you were doing it. You were doing it. Well, why? And it was so frustrating because that makes me think it's confidence. That makes me think this guy is just like terrified of doing anything wrong. And then there was a bit in the first half where he was put through on goal. And I thought, here we go. The Van Persie comparisons. Let's see them. Open your body up, your left foot, and slap it. He took it onto his right, back into traffic. And he sort of like lightly tried to caress it into the corner. Obviously got blocked because, you know, there were a load of defenders in the way by that point. But I thought, Kai, like the first bit was there. You got into the position, you did the sprint, and then it was the next bit he gets wrong. I didn't think it was a good showing from him.
He needs to be terrified of doing nothing over and over again, more so than being terrified of getting it wrong, because at least trying and getting it wrong, I can understand more so than not trying. He just looks disinterested at certain times. And you're right, there was two moments, one in the first half and one in the second half, where his first touch into space, he was heading into the box. And then in the first half, he actually starts moving away to the corner flag. In the second half, he starts cutting in and I think passes it to Odegaard. But I'm just looking at it like the space was in front of you, my guy. Just run into it, have a go. If you fluff it, fuck it. Just have a go. I can't excuse what you are doing. And that's kind of removing all or trying to remove accountability. But no, the accountability doesn't come with you on the ball in the game. The accountability comes with the price tag we paid and the importance we've given you in the role. That's that you're accountable for this. So do something.
Yeah, and you know the things he has done quite well, weirdly, is like he's quite good in ground duels. Like he does quite stuck in. Like I'll give him.
Does get stuck in, yeah.
Like it's weird. Like he might be a bit flimsy with it, but he's there. Like he's like putting a boot in, and he does like kind of get involved. And he's actually quite good in, just like general ball retention. When the team are just keeping the ball, he's quite good at being in the right place and just giving and going and just like kind of keeping a move going. But like guys, we're talking about the bare minimum here. Like I don't feel like Arsenal's fluidity yesterday was at all impacted by Kai Havertz being on the pitch, where maybe it was earlier in the season. But we're kind of trying to see that final third. It's like if someone told me Kai Havertz was a defensive midfielder and Arteta was trying to convert him into a more attacking player, then all the shortcomings we're seeing, I'd understand a lot more. I'd say, I get it, because he's more used to being deeper, but he's trying to get up the pitch and understand what to do. But it's the fact he's falling short in the attacking areas where he used to be, a really high output, goal scoring creative player for a Leverkusen. And that's what's kind of strange to us. I'm going to forget his Chelsea stint. I'm not even going to talk about that. But
at this rate, I'm going to forget his Arsenal stint as well. So let's hope he turns it around. It's only early days. It's only early days. But we are going to move on because it's not early days for today's pod. We're 51 minutes in. Hopefully we've hit 1,000 likes. If we haven't, go hit the like button, people. Make sure you subscribe. Put the notification bell on. And we were going to talk about, Tony, links getting stronger this week. But, the January window is some while away. So I'm sure that conversation will pop up again somewhere down the line. So we'll save that and we'll move.
Do you want him?
Let me see where we are in January. In January, we still got a chance at the title. I want him. In January, if we're far off Man City, I'll wait for Evan Ferguson in the summer.
That's a very, very good answer. John?
I'm 50-50 now. I'm 50-50 now, yeah.
Lee?
I'm 60-40. We're going to need someone.
So I must be the most convinced on the panel. I really want him. I think he's top drawer.
Listen, I'll take him. I wouldn't be against it.
We need to improve. We need to improve that side of our game.
Definitely a good option to have something different as well. And he also links up play well, which is something that Arteta wants from his striker. But we'll see how those rumours unfold because he's still banned till January. The window don't open till January, and there's still a couple of months left till that is even an option. But we move Bournemouth away from home. We've just won our third away game of the season, 3 out of 3, all 1-0. Yeah. And we go to Bournemouth next. Who should we start with? I mean, what were general thoughts? I mean, did Raya come back into goal? I assume so. It seems like he is the number one, but Ramsdale had a good game. Is it fair to give it to him? Ex-Bournemouth boy as well. Maybe he's got that extra incentive there. But I do think
he's earned his place, man. If he starts, that's totally fair. He did nothing there's nothing missing from his game against Brentford. But I think he'll go with Raya. I think he will.
So do I. Aside from that, the team pretty much picked. Actually, with Saka out, Martinelli should return.
Is Saka definitely out?
Looks like it. And with Man City the week after, do you risk him against Bournemouth? Shouldn't we be able to beat Bournemouth without Saka?
Spending him a week off, man. This guy.
I'd play him. If he's anywhere near 80-90% fit, I'd play him.
Don't forget, you've got Choosy as well, so you've got to think about that as well.
No doubt he's going to be picked for England as well, so that international break ain't going to give him any rest.
Yeah,
I'd play him.
So you said Martinelli's likely to be fit, Turkish, is that right?
Yeah. Judging by what Arteta said, he's been kind of coy on it, but I mean, he said it wasn't that big of an issue. He said he might return for Carabao Cup. This was last week before the weekend. And then before Carabao Cup, he said he might return weekend. So it seems touch and go at the moment.
I think this could be maybe the messiest 11 we've seen in a while. Because, I mean, okay, so goalkeeper, whatever, either one. And then I think he'll go White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, albeit, Tomiyasu might have earned a place over Ben White. But I'd stick with White for now. Then your midfield, you've got Ødegaard. I think Rice is fit, by the way. I think they, not that he didn't have a problem in the North London derby, I believe he did, but I think they slightly overhyped that just to just to sort of explain to the fans why he came off. Because I think basically if they needed him for Brentford last night, he probably would have been fine to play. So I think Ødegaard, and I'm just purely speculating there off what I've read, but anyway. So I think Ødegaard, Rice, and then it gets really difficult because you could go Vieira and go with that midfield three that I think has been our best midfield three. But with Saka missing, do you put Vieira on the right like we saw against PSV? You got a left-footed option there again, and therefore go with Havertz in midfield. Or, like I said, you stick with Vieira, but then what do you do on the right? Is it Reece Nelson with Martinelli on the left? Is it Reece Nelson with Nketiah or Jesus on the left and the other playing up top? Like I don't know. But then a front three with Nelson and Nketiah wide isn't the most inspiring, if I'm completely honest. I feel like they're both out of position. Reece should be on the left and Eddie should be up top. So I don't really know how this is going to look, if I'm honest. It could be Jesus right, Nelson left, and Nketiah up top.
I'm not as damning about Nelson on the right as you have been.
Nah, same. Yeah,
I've seen that Nelson grew up on the right. Or me seeing him, and he's very direct. Right. So if we've got a left winger, or on the left, whether it's Martinelli, whether it's Trossard, whether it's Emil Smith-Rowe, they all like to cut in. So I like to always have one winger that's very direct, and he's going to take it into the box on the outside, and the other side maybe cutting in to offer a different option. So I wouldn't mind restarting on the right.
I'll be very shocked if Saka's not available.
Well, it's not almost whether he is; it's whether he should be. Like I'd like Arteta to give the guy a rest.
Is that a rest?
Is that a rest? Yeah, I'm playing him. Him.
He's had like 4 or 5 days off now. He'll come back training tomorrow. What's the day? Thursday. So yeah, maybe even train tomorrow. It'd be all right.
I think the point is, it shouldn't be forced rest. It shouldn't be, you finally broke and got injured. Okay. Like,
I hear what you're saying, James, and I think, was it 85 Premier League games in a row, something stupid he's played? I think the guy does need at some point a break for sure. And as Turkish rightfully mentions, he's not going to get that when he goes away with England. But I just feel we're in a position whereby if we don't beat Bournemouth on the weekend, you then go into that City game and it's a must win. And if you lose to Bournemouth and then you lose to City, we're done. Let's have it right. You lose the next 2 games, we're done. The title's done.
Jordan, if we beat Bournemouth and lose to City, the title's done. I'll be honest.
Well, there's that. But I'm saying go into the City game at least. This is why I'm saying go into the City game with the 3 points. Do you know what I mean?
Realistically, if those results don't go great, yes, the Premier League title, it's incredibly difficult to win because we know how relentless Man City are. But there's a whole season to think about. And I know that our focus is the Premier League, but I think Arteta, in the way he's tweaked the system, the fact that we look more solid but less fluid, with the way he's kind of built quite a bit of squad depth, with how strong he went with a back 4 in midfield yesterday against Brentford, I think he believes in going far in the Champions League. He wants to win these domestic cups. And I don't think Saka away at Bournemouth is a necessary risk if he's not 100% there. Well, we've got a whole season to come. I know what you mean. Well, it feels like every Premier League game, if this doesn't go right, then, it's a disaster. But I don't know.
I agree with you, but we've got Trossard and Martinelli out as well, James. You know what I mean? It's not like, you can afford... If Trossard and Martinelli were fully fit, I'll go along with that and go, do you know what? Play Trossard or play with Martinelli out there or whatever. But when you're missing... And you're missing Jesus as well because he's going to be sticking him out wide. You're losing so much, basically like you're taking a very, very understrength team to a team that I don't think should be taken lightly. And also the fact is, which is a thing that I think this game on Saturday is massive because I think that the problems are mounting up at Manchester City as well because, their squad depth has been exploited a little bit, ain't as strong as what it should be because they've got injuries as well. You know what I mean? Like, so the important thing is don't let Man City have some sort of lead over us. Like, you know what I mean? We need to win on Saturday and then beat them the following week to rein it in so that we're only a point behind them. Whatever happens, you know what I mean? If we win our next 2 games, we still ain't top. We don't go above them. So it's very, very important this game on Saturday. We don't drop points. Very, very important.
I think it is. And And even with Martinelli and Trossard out, to be fair, we are still relatively strong in wide areas. You could put Smith Rowe wide. It's not, right wouldn't be his natural position, but we do have options there if you wanted to give Saka a rest. And it's Bournemouth. Bournemouth, I think, are a half-decent team, but I don't think we want to get into this comfort zone of relying on our away form. That, we're good away from home. We'll be fine. No. Let's treat each game with the respect it deserves, and let's turn up, let's handle our business and perform well and get the 3 points. But I'm just fearful that if Tottenham are playing Liverpool on the weekend, I've not got Tottenham in this title race. No way. But they're playing well. And if Liverpool are in the title race, and if Tottenham can take points off Liverpool and we can beat Bournemouth, as Lee's saying, that helps us eat into the points of the current of the top teams. And my fear is just going into that City game, having dropped points to Bournemouth, and then the City game becomes a must win, or as Turkish is saying, it doesn't even really matter then. And I know a lot of people say, it's early. But my point has always been, get to Christmas part of the pack. If you get to Christmas and you're 8-9 points off the top, you are not making that back up. You're just not. So just stay part of the pack, and that means winning the Bournemouth game, playing your best team, even if it means an 80% fit Saka, and just get to the City game whereby you have a chance of winning that game and it means something.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
So to be fair, if Martinelli's fit and the front three is Nelson right, Martinelli left, Jesus up top, then that's just really. I know I'm more doubtful of Nelson on the right, but that's kind of a like-for-like winger in. That's almost your best three. I mean, it would be Saka, but it's not far off, is what I'm saying. So,
I'd be confident with that, Bournemouth. But yeah, prediction time. I mentioned earlier at the start of the show that Lee was the only one to predict an Arsenal win against Brentford in the Carabao Cup. So Lee gets a point on the board, and it's looking like this.
Well done, Lee.
So was it 7-7-6? I think I should get an extra point because all of you went against it, and I backed the team, and I think that if you do that, you should be given an extra point, so.
Yeah,
because you're backing the team.
So we're just making up rules on the hoof now. Is that what we're doing here? We're just making up rules as we
rules
go.
have been made up on this.
That's true.
That's true.
I think you should pay me my money from last season before you talk about extra points.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll pay your money straight away if you take James's point off. You know what I mean?
Well.
Well, you know what I mean? There you go. Look, you know what I mean? That point that he doesn't deserve, which would actually put him back where he belongs, bottom.
James is my guy. Of
course he's your guy. Yeah, because you got 7 points more than you should have. You know what I mean? We all know that.
Yeah, but I'm still missing £40. Forget about the 7 points, mate. Yeah, let's talk about the moolah. £40 missing from my account.
Well, I agree with James. Me and James. Not that these packs mean a lot, you know what I mean? Like they don't, there's like a pack of cards in a full gal win, much on his packs. But he did turn around and say 10 straight shows that money will be in, and I actually agreed with him.
I think it was 5.
Well, 5 then.
Give me 5, and then I'll think about the next 5.
Think about the next 5. See, that's
one show at a time.
Think about
one show at a time. You get one game at a time. One show at a time.
Turning up on the 6, he will. But anyway, if you want to let him, let him off his reign. You know what I mean? I'd rather keep him right. But he's going to do it again. But I'm just leaving it out there. And when it happens again, I'm going to be there. You go.
Well, if it happens again,
I want that point deducted off of James. I want it deducted. I want it taken away because that bloke up there is like a lead balloon. He will let go.
What are you letting me for?
Both of you. I'm still really disappointed with the both of you. And I tell you what, even production were coming in and going, disappointed. I said disappointed. I was the one that backed it.
Production don't know that you haven't paid me for last season. Watch when I tell them that.
No, they told me not to. They said
Production also agreed that I deserve my community shield points. So they'll tell you anything, Lee. I'm deadly serious about that. That day they
told me they like me as well. So
I suppose. Production there is about as.
as productive as anything.
Yeah, they're about as productive as James. Yeah, so I suppose they're all the same,
What
really.
does that mean?
Well, like, you know, I'm going to say it now, like, you know what I mean? Like, so vocal about it, like, you know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not having this. I'm going to, you know, get your point back. Oh, yeah, thank you very much. You know what I mean? Like, so disappointing, like, you know what I mean?
Of negotiation, man.
Come on, get on with it.
Justice is done. The judge is back. The only one that got it right. You know,
you always go into a negotiation asking for more than you know you're going to get, but then you know what you're going to settle, and there you go. I played you all. Thanks for my point.
Yeah, you played me all night.
Enjoy last play.
For the audio listeners out there, I'm still top on 7 points, 2 correct scores. Jordan's in second, 7 points, 1 correct score. James is in third, still 6 points. And Lee, with his extra point, he's in fourth. He's also got 6 points. And I quote, "Judge is back." That's what he said, and he's still fourth. But yeah, still a little while to go.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean? As Jordan said, just keep in the pack till Christmas, and then you make your move. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
All right, Bournemouth predictions. I go first. Top of the table. I'm gonna go. Do I go for my classic or do I go for the clean sheet? Go for the classic. 3-1 Arsenal.
I reckon you've read a study that there's more 3-1 wins. There's more 3-1 results in football than any other score.
2-0.
Maybe.
Arsenal.
If it wasn't 3-1, it would have been 2-0. Go on, James.
Well, irritatingly, I was going to go for 2-0 myself, but maybe we'll have a little lapse of concentration. 2-1.
Maybe. Last but not least, Mr. Judges.
1-0 to the Arsenal, going for a 4 in a row.
1-0. The odds of that are fucking slim, so we'll take it. All right, people. There's the predictions. We've all gone for an Arsenal win.
You're all back on board now, are you? Like now, are you? Like, you know, yeah. Got your red and white scarves on, have you? Like, right, okay.
I've gone 3-1.
Lee, the game's very simple. We predict, and then if you get your prediction right, you get either a point or 3 points. So all this, I deserve an extra point because I got it right. You just did the game the way you were meant to.
Listen, I heard you lot. All right. Oh, I don't think we're going to win here. We're going to play a rotated team. Like, oh, we might get through on penalties and all that. Like, no, I back my team. I back Mikel.
We were millimeters from pens, weren't we?
Says the guy bottom of the league.
Yeah, it's crazy. He backs the team. He's bottom of the league.
Yeah, but like in saying that, like, you know, I predicted more right than you guys. You know what I mean? You've got 3 points, Jordan. For
why don't I get extra points for backing the team to win the Community Shield? Then
you didn't back the team.
I did.
No,
I said that's why I got the point because I said we'd win on.
Oh, we're not doing this again. Bloody hell, let's go, guys.
Win the Community Shield.
It was a draw.
Let's move. All the predictions.
Listen, why? If you're fighting for this extra point, why did I get an extra point? Why
you got the extra point?
Well, I did in the end. I had to go.
We're doing better than them two clowns up top. Don't worry about that. Like, you know what I mean?
Jordan, this is like a conversation between grandfather and son. I'm waiting for the originals to come out and fucking.
It's a mad thing. Press the red button if you want to continue to hear James and Lee continue their bloody.
Listen, the cream will rise to the top at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, it always does.
It always does. That's the predictions done. There you go. Leave us your predictions in the comment section. Hit the like button, and we're going to end with comments of the day. I hope everyone's got a comment ready. Keyword a comment, no S at the end. Jordan, a comment of the day.
No, I've got one. I've got one.
No. But sometimes you got 7. That's my problem. Sometimes you got none, and sometimes you got
7. Seven's a stretch, maybe 2 or 3. But yeah, all right.
Remember your black book that you used to have about 7's a stretch?
What do you mean used to have? Still great, mate.
The comment book. All right, I'm gonna go first. My comments on Rupin, a big supporter of the channel, and she says I expected a lot of heat on this podcast, but I didn't expect Turkish to go in on Win the Dog. Not many people did. I did.
There was a lot of dog comments. I got one from Connor JKM. Turkish anti-win, the dog, rant has to be one of the best pieces of AFTV content. Who would have thought a man's best friend, innocent dog, can cause so much pain and anger for Turkish? Can't wait for Robbie to decide that AFTV needs a company dog to boost the team's morale. You did batter the dog. You did batter the dog, Turkish. You did batter the dog. I hate dogs, but you battered the dogs.
Yeah.
You went in. You went in.
Who's up next? Who's up next? Lee and James are scrambling to find the comment.
Call me, I'll go my one. I'll go back.
You guys read mine as well, but Carol,
I love seeing Lee get angry. He's like a wind-up toy. Each time he talks, it's like he's being cranked up another level like that. I do get angry.
You do. You do.
You are funny. Have you seen Flex's impression of you, Lee, on DR Sports?
Yeah.
He's getting right. I'm going to have to say, like, you know what I mean? He's getting right above his station. He is, like, you know what I mean? he better be quick because I'm after him when I see him.
You better be quick.
I mean, I know you said one comment. You guys read my one comment, but there was just like it was a recurring theme, this win stuff. And I can't believe, because at the time I just thought it was quite funny, whatever. I can't believe how many people, I don't know, have a lot to say on that. So from Deadly Palm said, hear him roar, see the passion in his eyes. Can't believe he put down the dog there. Great to see another fantastic podcast. Well done all. Then there was another. Can't believe Turkish actually went after the dog. The result really frazzled everyone.
I see that.
And then the anger in Turkish's eyes when we were talking about win had me dying. Like, it was
what happens to the dog at night? I'd like to know that, you know.
Oh, don't start doing a fucking another Insta story or something.
No. What happens to the dog at night? Does someone take it home or what?
I was wondering, who does the dog stay with?
Turkish.
Forget about Ramsdale and Ray. Where does the dog stay at night?
This is the time for me to log out.
It's true.
Turkish, you look after win, would you?
For what?
Good
If they give me money for it, I'll look after the dog. But if they're just asking me out of the goodness of my heart to take the dog for a walk, then no.
Wee-wees.
You can see you're part of the team there.
Shameful.
This is probably the most impact.
Listen, this bloke's got no shame. You should realise this. Like, you know what I mean? His true characteristics are coming out every week. What this bloke is like.
Listen,
shameless, not Turkish. That's what his name is. Shameless. You know what I mean?
How can the guy that hasn't paid the money for May is trying to call me shameless in September? It's crazy what's happening. It's outrageous, James. Thank you. This is why you're my guy. Me and James to the world.
Your money's coming soon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guide
It's
James.
A win-win, isn't it? It's a win-win.
James, it's me or you this season. One or the other. That's who's winning it.
Thanks,
man. Hang on a minute.
No, I'll take top two. I'm not even in the title race. I just want to finish above Lee.
Don't worry, man. We'll get you on.
I don't have the ambition.
There's only one person starless. We'll leave it at that, people. Hit the like button. Get to 1,000 likes. Love for the love. Make sure you subscribe. A lot of content coming out. Bournemouth game round the corner. Champions League returns next week. And then it's the big one against Manchester City before the international break. Like Lee said, it's a must win this Saturday. We move. Love for the love. We're out. Peace.